presentation mode.
So, yeah,
Okay.
can we start, sir? Or
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
so before we get into the today's topic, I want to introduce about the company so people can get familiar about what exactly we do. Why are we subjective and credible today in the market to make you understand what matters? So this is our facility in Hyderabad, Telangana. So at one stretch, we have almost 37 acres, out of which 20 hectares are protective cultivation. In ethereal DNA, our majority of the species are aroids. Does anyone understand aroids, or do you know what aroids are? So I know this is
Ornamental,
not an interactive
ornamental,
session because, yeah.
ornamental
Yes, very
plants.
good. Very good. So we basically, as an first base of the company, we started with an ornamental division because that was the quickest market. And in during the COVID, there was a very big surge in indoor plants and ornamental industry. So we, being an opportunistic in the company, we capitalized on that. Today, saying that we have over 2,000 species in ornamental divisions, which is characterized in different genuses as well. So, and how did we get there? And we just don't do any kind of tissue culture from this ornamental. We take the first generation crop, which is found in the markets like Ecuador, Borneo, and other of the species which is directly found in the nature. We take those F1 generations and then we establish the protocols for initiation or further breeding or any other processes. So introducing ethereal DNA, we started with almost, so in India, we registered in 2021. And since then, we are working very thoroughly in a lot of the different aspects, along with ornamental, fruit science, horticultural end-to-end solution. When I say end-to-end solution, we also help a lot of the other labs in India to help them optimize their protocols, their better quality production, and also give them cultures to initiate a better crop for the future. So again, coming back to my co-founder Saminathan, he's also a fellow student of TNAU, also a horticulturist and doing his PhD. So he's Saminathan there. So that's the species called Queen of Anthurium, which is found in Amazon. So he is in Ecuador as of the now. So you can see this is F1 generation, the first crop in that area, which we take for initiation, multiplication, and rooting establishment. And as you can say, anthuriums are only initiated in vitro by seeds. We don't have any other protocols as of now which we can use axillary bud or meristem or any other things as of now which has not been coined. And our genetic division will get into the further time of it because we work very closely with bioinformatics and RNA sequencing, which we do for a lot of the other labs. We help them find a better, straight, disease-free or resilient crops. And our export division, basically, we are supplying to almost 16 countries. And it's a complete buyback model. What is a buyback model? Where basically people give you a contract of a certain crop along with the species, or we have to find the species in the market. And then we give them the complete production plan, which is called BOQ. Like the first year, the production will be this and this. And then we supply them complete production of their crop. And because we are a very transparent company, we want all the breeders in the world to be able to use us as a mass producer, and we also give licensing and royalty. And we'll get into the subject of licensing and royalty later on to the presentation. And coming to our another horticultural solutions which we give in the market is IPM. Now, this is a very new tech which has been coined in Netherlands, Wageningen University, which is a prototype there now, which has very been widely used in almost 6 to 7 different countries. So we are the first one to introduce in India. PATS is nothing but an integrated pest monitoring system, which is integrated with infrared cameras. And so what it does, basically, so right now the PATS can only take a bigger moths. There's nothing as of now to actually take account of smaller insects like thrips or whiteflies or any of that. So one pat has a capacity of 8 kilometers area coverage, and it is working 24 hours through the space of solar, or you can connect it with your electricity or third free phase or first phase. And right now we are working with tomato. In tomato, there is tomato looper, which is a big problem. So we basically count the adult. With that, we do the prevention. So it is a very high-end technology. When you're using a high-end crop, you need to know 24 hours. And as you know, most of the insects are nocturnal, or all of it. So most of the night vision camera is also installed in it, so you can see the flight path and so on and so forth. So right now we are doing two trials with two different companies, one for the tomatoes and other one for the gerbera cut flower industry, which is very successful right now. We have reduced almost 30 to 40% of the pesticide use in the future, and this is still a prototype. We are working very closely with Indian government and trying to see how we can evolve in fruit science as well as vegetable crops in Solomons and a lot of the other species to get a better results. So this is our ethereal universe. All the blue marks are where we have already supplied our crops all across the world. And our goal is to reach completely blue by end of in coming 5 years. Because India is a very growing market, and as you know, India is the youngest population in next 7 years. By 2030, India will be the youngest population in whole of world. Saying that, we are much more tech driven, much more resilient community. So we want to be cornering China. That is the biggest opportunistic situation as of now. So we want to capitalize on that. Okay, now getting into the today's topic, we are talking. And am I audible, or should I slow it down or anything?
Oh, okay. Okay,
Audible,
so no
audible.
issue.
Does anyone
Audible.
have doubt about the company or what we do or credibility? We can definitely clear as of now, and I can get into the subject later. Please feel free to ask anything, or we can do the end of the discussion, whatever you want.
I think we can have it in at the end, Iswar.
Okay, so today's topic, we are exploring underutilized and exotic fruits for commercial cultivation. So India, as I spoke, India is a growing market, right? And today, we being urbanized with the Gen Z and millennial slangs, we are very much prone to a fast-prone industry. And when I talk about these three important exotic fruits, which is blueberry, avocado, rambutan, mangosteen, and so on and so forth, these are blueberry and avocado are also called superfoods. So what is superfood? Superfood is nothing but it is enriched with all the nutrients and all the better antioxidant which helps you to sustain better. Whereas avocado has 4% of protein and almost 30% of good fats. It is maybe acquired taste for us to eat, and blueberry is the same. Talking about blueberry, blueberry is the king of berries. Why do I say that? Because you take any other berries, their shelf life is compared to blueberry is very less. A blueberry can be also sold in the market if it is kept well for over a 1 month period, which is great. That can also come into the post harvest technologies and how do we do that. And blueberry, you could always say, why are we talking about blueberry? It was always a northern hemisphere crop, right? So, but today we are in a world of science driven technology where due to a lot of breeding and a lot of work has happened in the fruit science, today there are so many southern species which has been helped in growing almost temperature up to 42 degrees. And it is a live example I'll give you with Mahabaleshwar, Bhopal. There has been done in so many different states in India where these crops are already been done. We are also a major producer in B1 species. And why do I say B1? Because I'm not allowed to say the licensed product and royalty name because I have signed an NDA and NCA on certain product. So blueberry is a very resilient crop and it's a very hardy crop. I would say if anyone wants to work on a future production of blueberry, I would think it's a very great crop to start working on compared to avocado, as it gives you fruiting in the first year itself, as the fruiting is less in nature. So let's get into more detail of the variety. So the temperature as is shown, I put it less, but the real temperature can last up to 42 degrees. And the shelf life is basically larger than any other crop because it can be the berries, the flowering, the first year of the flowering can be cut. It depends upon the growers. Okay. Now going to other part of yeah, 1 second. Production and details are all-time high in India. Last year itself, there was almost about 15,000 metric tons was imported in India. Now today, with certain companies like Ethereal DNA, Yupa Group, and other groups, we are able to produce these plants with licensing and royalty in India. And how are we able to do that? That's where tissue culture comes into place. So we have got the protocols from the desirable royalty and licensing companies around the globe for us to produce these crops and give it to a distribution channel such as Yupa Group and others. So when we talk about tissue culture of blueberries, so I'll give you a little brief on how it is done. So there is an axillary bud which is taken under surface sterilization. From there, the initiation is done. Then multiplication happens. Then it is done into the rooting stage of it. I'll show you the further photos of blueberries. Yeah. So this is our plant, which is almost 6 to 8 months old. And this species, we cannot name it because this is a patented and licensed species. So most of the exotic fruits in the market today, we are talking about blueberry, rambutan, and blueberry, avocado, all are licensed and protected. Why do I say that? There are companies who have worked for 3 decades and 4 decades to get these varieties applicable to all different climates. So that is why we pay royalty and licensing. What is royalty and licensing? Let's get more deeper into that. So we get a licensed agreement or an MOU or NDA we sign with a company. So we take a certain lot of the production or the mother stock for which we can create a sterile condition in polyhouse. What is polyhouse? A protective cultivation. So we are literally covering it all with pest, and we are curing all the soil and making sure the plant is perfect to make the next step, initiation. So these all are initiated with our partnered companies. So when we do that, we have a better result, and our hardwood cuttings have very strong phenols. So when you initiate a random crop from a random place, it releases all kind of bacteria into the media, which is not good for multiplication, elongation, or rooting. So that is where we take license and hybridized product, which is novelty or novelty products, so that we can have a better deal for the farmers. And when you deal with fruit crop, these are all consumed, right? So you cannot give any farmer whatever it is supposed to be. You have to be true to type. So that is where our company is very transparent in that, because we are paying very high amount of licensing and royalty to the companies. And that licensing and royalty depends about your negotiation power with them. So this is the very important group. And today in Mahabaleshwar, almost you can say 5,000 hectares of blueberry is already been done as of 2024, and almost 15,000 metric tons has been imported along with our production in India. So, and going into a deeper of blueberry production, so the blueberry has a longer shelf life and it is very antioxidant. It is a superfood, and and there are very different species which is done in the southern hemisphere, and out of which it can last up to 42 degrees. Let's say the planting season of blueberry can start from April to May with our crops, and the fruiting and flowering, it's depending upon the grower if they want to cut the flower at the first year or they want to keep it, and or they want to do it the next year. But the first year production value of the fruit from one plant comes up to 2 to 300 grams, and in an acre you can plant up to 3,000 plants. Am I clear?
Yes, Iswar.
So in an acre, you can plant up to 3,000 plants, and the spacing can up to 3.5 feet, and the width of the paths can be around 4 to 6 feet or 7 feet, depending. As it, the picking is very easy. The post harvest is quite easy for blueberries. Once it is ripe or it is matured, the berries usually just come out very easily. So saying that, but the fruiting can last up to 5 months. If it is done under production, if it protective cultivation, you can prolong it to 6 to 7 months also. But if it is an open cultivation, I would think it is around 4 months, which has been practiced very highly in Mahabaleshwar. And there is another important point you have to note during production of blueberry. So during the flowering season, I would recommend to cover it with a shed net on the top, because it's also very attractive for birds. So in an open cultivation, the flowers are very attractive to birds. So you may have a lesser production if you don't cover it with any better shed net, or which is can be 50%, doesn't matter, it is just protecting. Or also in horticulture, fleece, as long as it can cover the canopy of the crop. So that is a very important point you have to keep in mind. And each year you can get a better production line for the fruiting. So first year is 2 to 300 grams. Second year you can reach up to 7 to 800. The third year you can go 1.5 kilos, but the maximum you can reach is 2.5 to 3 kilos. There are some countries who are doing 5 kilos also, but that is very subjective to the soil and so on and so forth. And I would recommend any production of exotic fruit with the raised bed. Why? The porosity and drainage happens quicker. And as it is 6 to 8 months planned, which is quite established in our acclimatized condition, it is easier to plant it in the raised beds. And I would also say the pH of the soil should be around 5.5 to 5.5. And the nutrition is very basic. The top mulch should be always with farmyard manure, vermicompost, and you can, during, if it is a hotter season, you can also mulch it a bit with coco peat, so it can retain a bit more water. But that is subjective again, depending upon which side of the area you're trying to do. And these varieties which we are dealing in ethereal DNA is very prone to temperate zone to a bit more subtropical places like Coimbatore can also have this kind of production, because we are seeing a very high demand in Pune and many other places. And this has been done in Gujarat. Many of our growers actually take it to Gujarat as well. So there is a very inclined production increase in this, and there people are doing it in protective cultivation as well. So saying that, blueberry is a very exciting fruit and an upcoming fruit in a younger population as well as older population. A lot of the nutritionists are also suggesting these crops because we live in a very short span of life of Instagram and Facebook. So all of these are also very culturally exchanged crops, and we should monetize and optimize on it, because in the future when China or other countries gets a bit cornerized, we have a better opportunity for exports and other purposes. So I will constantly tell you on the commercial aspect of it. And per kilo for 3000 plant, each plant at a starting at this stage of crop cost up to 200 rupees. In a wholesale it can go up to 150 rupees. So when you plant a 3000 plant, you can do your calculation for an acre. And the first year for 300 grams to a certain crop, the fruiting might be, the sizes might be small on the first year, but the second year onwards is the best fruiting you can find. And the cost of production is also very minimal because this is done in tissue culture. So it is a bit is disease resilient, as well as much as I do preventive, I don't do anything on this. But I definitely use the nutrition. So I would recommend a basic NPK rotation, which is great. Or you can also go with a smaller dose of 545, or depends upon how you want to curate your ppm along with the stage of the plant. And if you have a better soil, you don't need to even nutrition in the better stage. But I would recommend during the flowering stage and the rooting stage, you have a better pipeline for nutrition. And we can talk more detailed into that. This is one of the other species, seedless lemon. I'm just showing you the consistency of the crop.
Is there any tropical types available here in Tamil Nadu? Some of the places, especially
So all
Nilgiris
today
in
we are
Kodaikanal, only
talking
it's available.
about. Yes, sir. But the fruit crop, the fruit taste is something which we work on, because all the farmers are actually the growers today, right? So we are working on only on the commercial aspect of the crop, which is well accepted in the market. Because to do a hybridization on the start, we might take 3 to 4 years to know the quality type, the fruit type. So we are only working with novelty products as of now. So we have 4 species under our name: B1, B2, B3, B4, which is also Bibliboxy variety, which is patented by some of the Spain companies and Dutch companies. So we only deal with those varieties as of now, and which is very resilient to our Indian climate.
Okay, sir. I think our discussion will be, we can have it at the end
Yes,
of
sir.
the presentation. Okay,
Yes,
please.
yes, yes, sir. And going back to Rambutan, Rambutan is so I will get into the costing of the final blueberry. Let's just get back a little. So 1 kg can sold up to 1,200 rupees, and it is sold in 100 grams pellets. So the costing can come up to 125 to 150 in wholesale per 100 grams. So you can do the costing per acre, and you can figure out what is your ROI in first year and second year, what will be the cost of production. So I can share you all the details later on if anyone wants more further understanding of how to deal with exotic commercial cultivation. So the next crop in our list would be rambutan. So rambutan is a very exciting crop because it is from Southeast Asia, and in this, it's very widely produced in Kerala and other parts as well today. And there are very important crops like schoolboy, N18, Binjai. All of these are also very widely found in Indonesia and Thailand. They are native to Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. And this is also very widely found in India. I'm not going to go more commercial aspect of rambutan today. I'm going to focus only on blueberry and avocado because there is a very important emerging trends in these 2 species. So I hope one of you can understand this in future. If anyone wants to adapt on these 2 varieties, it'll be very important for you guys, because the production capacity may increase for blueberry and avocado for 50,000 hectares by the end of 2030. So the most important crop now we are talking. So this crop was It's a Mexican crop, basically. The word guacamole, if anyone is known about that, it is avocados, or everyone knows burrito and all that. So guacamole is a very important ingredient for Mexican culinary. So, like a Mexican, so from there it has got to Northern America. From there, the whole world has adapted into it. Past 30 years, Israel has been the pioneer and in this field of avocado. Why do I say that? As you want to know more depth into avocado, avocado doesn't have a great root stock. So avocado's rooting system is very fragile. So, as you know, it has been grafted onto a better rootstock. As we were discussing with Mutuel sir earlier, sir is working on his own rootstock. But for the last 5 decades in Israel, they have pioneered in the technology of rootstock production. They are very high in the cost of Ashdod 17, Digania 117, Digania 189 day. And these are the species of rootstock which is very high in demand because they are very salinity resilient, they're very disease resilient, they can be grown in a drought resilient places, and the rooting can penetrate better with this rootstock. And the most expensive and the most important avocado variety in the market today is Haas. Haas has two varieties, Haas and Lamb Haas. And then there is also Peter, that Ettinger. And in this, there is two kind of skins which is widely available in the market. One is black skin avocado, other one is green skin avocado. And green skin avocados like Ettinger, they are very widely grown and read as well. They are widely grown in India. Even Hass is grown in India, Hass avocado. A lot of people are grafting in different species. So now getting into the tissue culture part of it. So we are in a great space today where Queensland College of Innovation in Agriculture has designed a protocol on tissue culture of avocado. What do we mean tissue culture of avocado? They are doing a rootstock initiation for betterment of the disease resilient crops and a better salinity and better resilient crops for different climates. As you know, this crop was widely found in Mexico, then later spread to Africa, but now it is very big in Israel and other parts of Spain and other parts of India as well. India is an emerging market as Andhra Pradesh and Telangana is coming forefront in the avocado production. And you may ask how are all of these products are being done in India. So 100% of the products are imported in India through an Israeli based company or other companies. And these stocks, as last year projection was around 24,000 crops were imported just in FY23. This year by 2024, already in the starting 3 months, we have imported almost 15,000 crops. That means that there's a very fast growing demand for avocado in the market, as it's very widely available and it's very highly priced. And in urban cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad, per kg can also cost up to 800 rupees and 1200 rupees. So that's a very high demand crop. And as you know, in a very good rootstock established plant or which is imported from Israel, that can have a better fruiting from third year. As you know, there is a different variation of stock available in the market which has been grafted with different species. So the Australian community has desirably made an understanding which stock works with which crop. So today we are very successful on initiating some of the initiated rootstock from Israel today, and we are very happy to show you some of the results as well. So as you know, tissue culture process, everyone is very familiar with the basis of tissue culture. So we are doing those things right. So once the plant is imported or once the mother stock, which we do an MOU with a company, once that is imported, we do a plant quarantine for over a period of 60 to 80 days. Once the plant is acclimatized and we know this is disease free, we get a notice from a plant quarantine people to go ahead and put it in a acclimatized place where you want to be done. So once we do that, we select perfect clonal plants which we could use for a mother stock. And that I'm talking about the root stock as well as the Sion. So, but we are talking mostly about the Sion today because we are trying to establish a better Sion protocols in India. And that has been done under an NDA and NCF with the companies. So selecting that, we usually take a meristem And then we do a very strong surface sterilization because it can be a bit hardwood. So more phenols can release and it can create more contamination into the bottle. So you can see the process of sterilization, initiation, induction, multiplication. Multiplication, I feel, is a very important process for us where we do a very desirable selection of each cuttings. From there, we do a shoot elongation process and then rooting. And we actually do a double rooting process, which is not mentioned in this. Why do we do that? So we acclimatize in charcoal media. So we see the growth of the plant in the bottle with the nanometer of the light, which is also called lux, right? Okay, this is a very key understanding of how these are the real pictures, how you can see the multiplication, shoot elongation, single shoots. And now we are working on the back end on the rootstock initiation as well. We have been very successful with the reed species in initiation, and I can show you in the further. So this is our in vitro hardening. So the plant after rootstock media, we let it be for another 4 to 6 weeks so that we see the durability of the crop. After that, root induction happens and then acclimatization. After the rootstock is developed to a certain height, then we do the grafting of the desirable plants or traits which you're looking at. Most of it for us is coming from a protocol given by the companies. So we don't have to do much here. But going forward with crop improvement practices with TNAU, we want to develop better resilient crops with our own rootstock development because our soils are so varied. As India is a 12 mega diverse country, we have so many different types of soil, water. So we want to develop crops which can sustain better in Indian climate. And that would be done with the help of TNAU in the future for sure. And you can see the bit more details on Velvic and different Velvic. All of these species are from Australia. So these are not distributed as of now in India. So we are only working on which is allowed to distribute from the distribution of Israel, which is Lamb, Haas, Peterson, Pinkerton, Ettinger, and all of these species are very widely found in our market. And one plant can cost up to 800 to 1200 rupees. And the age of the plant, which I would recommend for plantation, would be 2 years and above. Why? Because the plants are well settled. So when you transplant into a raised bed again, any exotic fruit, I want it to be a raised bed. Why? Because the porosity and drainage can be better and the mortality becomes less. And that way you can, and 1 acre, you can plant up to 180 plants with 3.5 meters gap between the plants and between the beds 7 to 8 meters. Why? Because a mini tractor can also go into the harvesting time, so and so forth. And I would recommend every other alternative day we go with a minimum dosage of NPK, as well as we use a very preventive spray. And again, in the flowering and the fruiting stage, we got to hold the plant. So basic fertilization what we require, that would be very important. Soluble fertilizers again. And this is Kid Variety and Zultano. You can see these are all done by our partnered company, which we help with Australian species. But reed is not widely accepted in the market. So we are not yet successful with lamb as of now, but we are working very closely with the rootstock. So maybe a better grafting technique can help us have a better fruiting as well. So this you can see from lab to nursery. So TC root system has a better rooting system because it is induced with certain hormones. Then it is acclimatized. We believe in strengthening and hardening. What does that mean? So the crop, once the in vitro hardening is done, we acclimatize in a climate like Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is a very dry climate place, right, where the temperature can go up into the summer up to 44 degrees, and it is very less humidity. So once the plant is acclimatized in this kind of weather, it's easier for us to do further growth of vegetative as well as reproductive. So you can also see the transplanted rootstock of reed. This is not the other rootstock. I'll show you later in the video. And this the appropriate side of rootstock grafted with decision Sion. That depends upon Haas or reed, which variety is in demand, which is performing well with that. And this is how we ship. This is actually in Australia as of now. And this is one of the another validation. And every species have a different rotation on nuttiness, boldness, as well as the characteristic on the skin. And it's a very tricky aspect on fruit picking, right? So the subject of knowing when the fruit is ripe, it's a very wisdom prone, as well as it's a very technical aspect. So I used to also be a food picker in Denmark while I was doing my internship. I used to work for a very important company called, it was a very important restaurant here. So I used to pick avocados for them. So when I used to pick avocados, you need to know the exactly ripening stage of the avocado. So it's all very important in the species of Hass, Reed, Ettinger. Ettinger is a very green species. So greener species is not very applicable in hand picking because sometimes you don't know the skin when it is ripe, when you have to cut it. So it can be a bit subjective, but with knowledge and time, you can definitely understand that. And these are the most important species, which is also found very widely in India. And avocado Hass was done by Mr. Rudolf Hass. And this is a very strong species because the skin, as well as the nuttiness, the whole character is the crop is amazing. And it's very tasty also. So if anyone gets a chance to eat any of these species, we'll be very happy. Or I can supply to TNU also later. And the next one is Reed. Reed and Pinkerton are from California. California has worked very high on these species. Peter Haas is a cross between Peterson and Peterson again is looks like a breadfruit, but it is not, which is hybridization. That is why it's called Peterson hash has a better characteristics. And majority of each crop in the starting of the plantation first year, so it's like mango, every alternate year the production value and the production quantity. Pinkerton is a very widely grown species in India as of now, and Deccan Exotic in Telangana, they are doing a very high demand of Haas, Pinkerton, Ettinger species in Telangana. So we are the largest producers in Telangana today, along with the suppliers as well. So, saying all of this, the most two important things about exploration of underutilized and exotic fruits for commercial cultivation. And while speaking about avocado, I already said each kg can cost up to 1200 kilos, 200 rupees per kilo, depending upon the wholesale and the market distribution you have. But it is the very fastest growing work. And compared to any other fruit crops you pick today, it gives you 50% higher yield and higher income. And having a better resilient crops can reduce your cost of production and can enhance your cost of production in the future. And each year, if all the crops kept properly, this plant life has a shelf over 10 years. And even more if it is kept better with the good pruning techniques, good understanding, good mulching, good protection, and all of that can help your crop better. And you might say, why are we talking so much about underutilized exotic fruits? Because again, about the consumption trend and the demand and supply. Because as we are also importing majority of these fruits, we in by next 5 years we want to be at least matching up the export and import requirements and the quality to be understood. Why to do export quality? Because that is your standard of production. We want to do it in India. As India is also a growing economy, everyone is having an understanding of quality production. I think we are in the right space and time. So anyone who in the future is interested towards growing any of this crop can be very helpful. So importance of diversification of first cultivation is again pests and diseases, climate resilience. Again, why do I say Israel is very much like us? Israel has a temperature in summer reaches up to 45 plus degrees. To Israel to able to do this kind of rootstock establishment, it gives you such a high demand for different crops in different regions of the climate. As we are globally so much cultural exchange we are doing in today's market, it's actually very good for us to be able to export. As we India is a very fast growing economy, and with all the things happening in India, we are in a very right place. And the nutritional benefits, again, it's a superfood. I don't have to tell you much about this. And environmental sustainability, you might say, why are we using which is not supposed to grow in India, or which is not supposed to biodiversity wise, where I say where we are actually living in a place of global warming and climate. You can talk about all this constantly. There's so much exchange already happening. I think with introduction of such species, we can introduce a better resilient crops too also in the market. And our palettes are already changing so much. So it's a matter of time that we adapt as quickly as possible. Then consumer trends, and I'll get you into the market side of it. So, and in the consumer trend, it's a very steady increase in the growth aspect of exotic fruits. Each year, there's a maximum number of imports and exports are happening from India. And again, the growth health conscious, even talking about nutritional, and our Indian government also recommends having superfoods as a very important elements. And in India, we are a land of superfood country, because we are the land who has given us moringa. We are the land PKM19, one of the most important species in India today. And again, a lot of the species TNAU is working on papaya. In making a mosaic virus resilient crops. So all of this is a very important aspect going forward, because fruit crops are consumed by majority. As you know, banana was the highly produced crop in the market. Like that, there are so many different species coming up in the market, and all of these exotic fruits are having the major trend in the next 10 years. So I'm expecting in avocado itself 50,000 hectares, as well as blueberry in the next 5 years. Yeah, so this is a bit of my understanding of what we are trying to do in the commercial aspect. And I've given you a brief understanding of blueberry, rambutan, avocado, which is very ideally for starting. And anyone who wants to start a business or commercialization start of it, Ethereal DNA is always there to help you in the root stock, in the mother stock, as well as helping you with the commercial aspect of understanding of this crop. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if anyone is interested in doing any of this in the future. And going back to our specialization, we actually mutate a lot of our new species through colors and gamma radiation and cold changing techniques. So this is one of the breeds which we have worked on, is Musa Florida Beauty variegated and Musa Nono. This we have worked with Kasakat University in Thailand, which we use for only ornamental and aesthetic species. So in the future, you can also see so many species have been used for different purposes as well. And yeah, so this is where we are at with the commercial aspect in growing avocado and blueberry. And we can get into more interaction round where you can ask me more details on the specific of these crops, and we can get into. So we are just trying to build a good biodiversity and ecosystem with the hence with technology. So that is us from Ethereal DNA. So hope you guys understand what we are trying to do here. And we are giving you a commercial aspect on this knowledge, because we are already dealing with this crop and we are seeing the supply demand constantly. So that is why I'm here to give you an understanding of the commercial aspect of these two crops. So, sir, please feel free to talk more in detail about these crops and anything if you wish to do.
Thank you, Iswar. Thank you very much for your very nice lecture about the exotic fruits, especially the crops, avocado, rambutan, and blueberry. I think first I welcome the students to interact.
I hope it was some information for you guys to understood. So please feel free to understand and ask
Yes, sir. What is exactly the metric requirement of blueberry? So, being it's grown in very well in in Maharashtra, one of the actually it's a hill station.
yes.
What is the climate prevalence, or exactly what is the requirement of the climate requirement of both?
So that below
Uh,
temperature, night temperature shouldn't go anything below 7 degrees, and the maximum temperature we have done the hardest hardening of over 42 degrees, and we have got the results of the crops and the fruiting along with first year 300 to 400 grams per
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
species.
1 minute. Maybe the temperature 42 means it may be during the vegetative phase.
No, sir.
So
So
for the
so the
normal fruit set, flowering and fruit set, what is the requirement?
So normal food set, I would recommend 28 to 29 degrees. As you know, the planting season is from April to May. So October to December is a very optimal flowering. And you can, according to the number of flowering, you can see the number of fruit sets also.
Good. Actually, then it requires subtropical climate.
Yes, sir. But also with these kind of varieties, which is novelty products, it is very widely used in different climatic zones all across India. So we have seen the growth from Mahabaleshwar all the way to Bhopal and Gujarat as well. And there, and maybe the fruiting might be
There again,
differing.
whether it's a hill station or whether it's a
Yes,
hill station in MP, Bhopal and
yes.
all.
So Bhopal, it is done in Bhopal's a natural climate. There's no hill station there, so it is done in the natural climate. And in Gujarat, all most of the production, majority of the production from ethereal DNA is going to Gujarat, which they are doing they are taking 8 months old plant, and they're having a very large propagation. As you know, the demand and the requirement of each per acre is 3,000 plants per acre. So you can calculate the production value in by 3 years or 4 years down the line. And the stability of this crop can last up to 10 years, sir, if kept properly.
Okay. Do you have any buyback arrangements, or whether you're only
Complete buyback,
supplying
sir.
only
This company does only buyback. We don't have distribution of fruit crops as of now because we are very consumed with ornamental division. We cannot expand without buybacks in fruit crops.
Nice.
So the reason why we are doing with novelty crops are these are desirable traits which are given to us by these companies, and they have worked for over 2 decades on these crops. So we know the taste of the fruit, we know the sizing of the fruit, we know the consistency for the farmer. So it's easier for us to educate the farmer than doing introducing a newer breeds which is has to establish, create a market base and all of that. So we only work with which has already been established in the market.
Okay. You can give the details regarding the cultivation. What is the cost actually for planting materials, and you can give you the project cost for a particular area. Well, maybe 1 acre, or
One
it may be a
acre,
thousand.
you require 3,000 plants per acre, and the spacing of each plant can go up to 3.5 feet per 3.5 to 3.5 feet. The bed width
So,
can go up to six
yes,
to seven
yes,
feet.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You can give later the project. Actually, what is actual requirement?
Okay, sir.
In
I
a
can give you a very detailed requirement. No
Okay.
problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And same with the avocado, I'll share it with you. And about coming back to the success stories, there are two more major important success stories in these two crops. So there is this company called Indo-Israel Avocado Company. So this company has is the first one in India. Is run by a 25-year-old guy, Harsh Goda, who is who actually has done his internship in Israel, and that man has, I would call, an avocado, a newer generation avocado man of India. So that person is importing majority of the crop. Also, we are helping them in many of the species, but the majority of the species have been imported by Harsh Gowda, and he's establishing a very strong rootstock, established plant, and he's trying to reach out to many different parts in India. So that is a very important success story. It's a startup which was started in 2019. So today he's doing almost a very good ROI on his project. And similarly, in blueberry, the success stories could be related to Yupa Group, who they are the guys who actually got strawberries in Mahabaleshwar. And this Mahabaleshwar strawberries was actually introduced by them in 10 years down the line, which was actually very resilient to grow these crops in that area. And these are all novelty and patented crops. So today they are almost producing in almost 50,000 hectares in Mahabaleshwar. Strawberry is the largest producing place for strawberries in India, and majority of the consumption is happening in urban cities as well as tier two. Yeah, so you can actually see these companies online, and they're actually doing a great job on that. And so you have a very wide availability of this crop in the market today. And one plant, 2-year-old plant of avocado can cost between 800 to 1200 rupees, depending of the rootstock, which quality you're looking at. And for the tissue culture Biblibox variety of blueberry can cost up to 150 to 200 rupees, wholesale and retail depending upon what. And this is an average cost. Blueberry, 6 to 8 months old plant, which can be directly transplanted into the raised beds. And for 2-year-old plant for avocados and different species, depending upon the pricing and the veg. Have tasted blueberry and avocado in the group. So probably you might, maybe I'm talking out of the speed, but you must have, right?
Yes, we have tested in wood. So some even the Department of Horticulture has introduced blueberries. So it's in Ooty. It's already the crop. They have been the farmers has been exposed to cultivation of blueberries. And I actually whether it's a blueberry or blackberry, a little confusion still I have. And avocado, we are used to it. Everyone is used to avocado here.
Yes, sir. So what I'll do after this today, I'll send certain samples of our own blueberry species in vegetative growth. I would like the students to give me a little review on these species, and you can do your own hardening techniques and strengthening and try to do in different regions of Tamil Nadu. And we can work very closely on the production value, and so people can grow along with the subject and us as a company.
Have a trial in even in subtropical research stations like Yerkadu, and even in Kodaikanal we have it. No issues.
I'll give you the first batch of 8 months old plant immediately next week or a week after that, sir. Mutual sir can coordinate with you guys regarding the dispatch to different do the live practical analysis of these crops what we have spoken about. You can taste it yourself and then we can get into more further commercial aspects. As the students will be familiar with the commercial varieties, which is widely accepted in the market, they'll get a better understanding and they might give them a better feel to maybe do a cultivation in a larger field. You saying about the wilt in avocado, ma'am?
Yes, yes, sir. Actually, this question from Perikulam, Dr. Vijay Samdiswari is asking these questions. He is a pathologist. Mainly,
Okay.
we are facing lot of problem in built in the
That
entire
is your soil
lower
porosity,
Palni
sir.
hills.
I
So,
would
is there any?
recommend, yes, sir. I feel
Please.
Phytopthera or Phytopthera, which can also called a little wilt. So overwatering is a major issue in avocados. So raised beds with good porosity in plantation, in transplantation, or a good porous material for hardening the crop. This too, and prevention. So millibug and Phytopthera is the biggest problem in most of the species which we have seen or which we are importing. Why? Because the water retention is very salinity compared to the Israeli crops, what we had dealt with. We have not seen any wilt as of now in our crops. The only problems we see is Phytopthera in our crops, little bit of millibugs, and that's it. And we only do preventive, and they're very hard root zone crops from Israel, what we do. So as of now, we have not seen much of that in your very closely with phosphate mobilizing bacteria, phosphate or phosphanic acids. These are the things we kind of use for Phytopthera as well. Sir, am I audible? Is she?
Yes, 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 sir.
Yeah, so that is the major problem for us. I would recommend what we do with the farmers is we do the raised bed system, sir. And the plowing and farrowing which we do, which is done with a porosity material, so that the leaching and the water retention is not much. The areas which have more water retention or more water rainfall, that is the area might have a little prone towards the wilt and the phytophthora. So I would recommend complete drier climates. I have seen better results in Bhopal. I have seen very good results in Tamil Nadu as well. I have seen great results in Hyderabad because it's a dry climate. So I would recommend it's a very semi-arid crop which has been hybridized into. So keeping the watering intact is the most major uh, in growth of the crop, and make sure that every other alternative of what you call drenching is done through a certain amount of NPK, which is 545, which we you might not get it, but you can do the calculation in ppm and you can give the dosage for a very minimal. And bioenzymes are very important, as well as silica for the uptake of all of this nutrition. So these things actually require very much, as well as maintaining the pH. Black cotton soil, as far as results in India, is performing best with avocado.
You are working in root stocks, isn't it? You are working
Sir,
in stocks. Several root stocks in
yes, sir, we are
avocado.
working, but this is
So,
only for the trial basis for the
any
companies
resistant
which.
rootstock for Phytophthora wilt?
Yes, sir. I think Digania 117, Asdot 17 is a very strong species which is very resilient to Phytophthora, sir. So
It's a
that is
rootstock.
why we are able to get, sir. Yes,
Is it a rootstock? No,
yes, sir.
rootstock.
Rootstock, only rootstock will. Yes,
Okay, 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 okay. So
but
where do
I'm
I
gonna give you that
actually?
roots. Which one,
Uh,
sir?
please, please.
No, this rootstock can be provided to you in 6 to 8 months, so you can do
Okay,
your own trials along with our Indian hybrids or anything which you are looking at.
please, yes, sir.
Yes,
Next
sir.
one actually,
Because this
where do
species,
I? Please.
yeah, and with TNAU MOU, we will like to update you on that also. So we are working on a crop improvement on a guava forest species, which we are developing in tissue culture. The rootstock of Cedium black guava, which we are trying to
Yes.
develop in tissue culture, which is forming a good callus formation today. So it's a
Okay.
similar technology we are using. So the media, if anyone wants to know, is rhododendron media, hardwood media, which with lot of growth regulators and lot of the kinetin we use to modulate the growth and multiplication as well as the rooting. In rooting is basically charcoal media uh, preparation, and we also do in vitro hardening in that. So I
Okay.
am very clear about these kind of things. As we go into the second lectures and the more deeper into our guest understanding, I'll give you more insights on grafts, the more insights on these. And the pest, in again coming back to the pest and diseases in blueberry, the species what we are working on, we do preventive. We have not seen much problem in that as of now, and only birds have been a major problems for us. So we trying to do cover it with horticulture fleas or shed net. So these are the things we are taking major, and we are getting very good results. All of our success stories have a very good results with our farmers, and they're very happy with the production as of now.
So good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So I
Hi.
have a doubt. The taste of rambutan and lychee are almost similar, and the fruiting characters are almost same. So why do we have a special commercial cultivation in rambutan, sir?
No, because the adaptation, you would ask, why do we buy so many different brands when there is Nike and Adidas still there in the market? So it's a similar kind of question you asked, but I would say that the taste, the adaptability, the variations, that is something it's very much acceptable today. Anything exotic is something is the first eye of attention for the consumer centric products. So that is why mangosteen and rambutan is the next, and kiwi. Don't forget kiwi in this. So these three crops are very high in demand in next 5 years. And mangosteen is a very technical crop. It can only grow into a certain climatic zones, which we have also initiated in tissue culture. But again, these might take time to get us better results on that. But the character taste is very different. Actually, I forgot your name in that way. So the taste is very different between lychee and rambutan. The skin is very different. The hairs are very different. So it has a very different properties of nutrition as well. So also acceptance by consumer, and it's an Indonesian and Thailand species. When people travel to other countries, when they see this crop, they want it in their own country as well. So the demand of these things are also increasing.
Actually, worldwide, there is a good demand in Haas variety.
Yes, sir. We have
So,
two varieties in Haas today.
it's only mainly because of the shape, or what's the major specialty? Why there is a very big demand in that
I'll tell
particular
you, sir.
variety itself?
So as you know, avocado doesn't develop rootstock. Along with the rootstock of these species which I spoke about, Digania, Asdot, these help of these lamb variety. Lamb variety has the best canopy representation with that. So canopy is something which gives you the shape of the crop, the timeline, the resilience of it. So with that kind of shape, and hash has a very strong skin, sir, compared to any other product. That is why hash is much more nuttier, much more widely accepted in European market. But if you go to other countries like Israel, Ettinger species is much more widely accepted in the market. So every country has their own requirement as per the consumption ratio. If you want to use it as for the smoothie, any species of avocado will do. But the consumption of hash is widely spread as a spread, or also as a salad, also at just a nutritional aspect. Lamb hash is something which is widely accepted in the market. And Ettinger again is accepted in Middle East and Israel, and Spain has a very mixture of Peter has, and India is growing market for Pinkerton as well, sir. So next 3 years you might see a better results in Pinkerton and Ettinger species. So I would also recommend TNAU to get these species in hand. If you don't have, I can supply you guys, but these will be very important going forward in the hybridization.
Okay. Is there any early bearing types available? Actually, from Karnataka and
So
other places, some of the farmers have the early bearing types. Within 2 years, we can get bearing.
sir, this Pinkerton is a early bearing, sir. Actually, so I'm only working on novelty species. Why? Because it's proven. So
Okay.
so that is why I'm able to tell you. So 3 years you can have an early fruiting, early variation, and people actually there is also A type flowering and B type flowering. You might be familiar with that. So determined flower and indeterminate flowers.
Okay.
Indeterminate flowers has vegetative propagation, vegetative growth in that. Determined flowers is much more flowery in that section. So that is
I-
usually find in and B type flowers are mostly green skin varieties.
Okay. Is there a biennial bearing is observed in avocado
Yes,
like
sir, it is.
mango?
Yes, sir, it is. I'll
Okay.
show you some documentation if you allow me to share. I'll share you the A and B flower from California Research Station. Or I can share you after the slide also. You can get the whole
Okay.
documentation so students can read in detail about these techniques.
Okay. Is there any
I would
questions
love to
from
write them a small understanding of this lecture, sir, so that we can develop more onto their characteristics of cultivation. And I will provide you with the species so the students can work along with the. You are actually very right in that way. So post harvest technology. So post harvest, what you call harvesting of avocado crop has to be done at a certain timeline. And most of the species when they are ripening, it's all green in color. So the post harvest technology, maintenance of the climate, the lux, how do you preserve it, where do you post it, is also very important. And the shelf life is bigger. As you know, most of the species is imported from Israel and Spain. The duration of the timeline of the containers are 24 days to 35 days. So imagine what timeline do they harvest, and by the time it comes to India, when do it is ripe, and still the ripening is still acquiring. So it all depends on the light and the temperature, how they maintain it. But early ripening, yeah, but the crops which we are dealing with, the post harvest technology is very simple in India as of now. We don't permit anyone to use any of that as of now. Why? Because it's naturally very strong. And when the crop is mismatched in the transportation, the damage of internal also causes browning. So that is also very most important crop. Please be very careful when you actually the ripening as actually interacting with the other crops also, other fruits, that helps to also internal browning. So once you touch the top of the avocado, immediately the ripening will happen and it will become brown in the next day. So that also creates a lot of friction with the browning internally. And we don't recommend anything on the post harvest. On that note, I'll ask my farmers what they do in the post harvest technology and we'll give you anything about the crop which we provide, how we provide, how to grow it. Please feel free to ask on that. But post harvest, I'll get you more.
Sir.
Good evening.
Sir, you have wonderful presentation.
Thank you,
So
man.
we also gather more information from you. Nowadays, students are go for government job and private jobs. So in this recording, some of them will inspire from you, sir, like doing business
Yes,
like that.
that is the only aspect today we are trying to do what we are doing. Most of my classmates of TNAU are in the bank jobs. Most of them, 100% out of that, maybe 2 to 3% of the people are working maybe civil services, 1% having entrepreneurship. And yeah, so I really want government, especially horticulture people, to see an aspect of growth in horticulture, because we lack so much till today. As a consultant or even as an entrepreneur, even also see the gap in the nutrition, biofertilizers. These are the future of our industry. No, as you might see too many number of pesticides being banned in the market constantly, and you will have to adapt to the country, and you will have to be a part of your knowledge what you have created with TNAU. And I feel that we have all the bases in TNAU. From there, where you head is where you place yourself, and everyone is welcome to do internship program here, subjective to get accepted. So feel free to write us if anyone is interested to get an understanding in commercial growth in tissue culture, nursery production, fruit science, commercial landscaping, any of that in interest. Please feel free to get to us. We'll help you out in replacing. We also help people to establish themselves in master's degrees around different globes. We had that program, but you can write to us on anything other guidance if you require, in what subject to take, where is the industry heading towards, where is the lack of knowledge in the industry, how we can develop more. I'm all ears always. I wanted to do this guest lecture face to face so we could actually have a one-on-one interaction about career, as well as any guidance if you guys require, and which university you might do your masters, or you want to establish yourself any kind of entrepreneurship program. So feel free to get to me on that. I'm always there along with my partner Sami as well. So very happy to help you guys.
Thank you, sir. Then I have only one question. So most of the woody plants they going for tissue culture is nodal culture. In
Yes.
why avocado you choose an meristem tip culture, sir?
It's a protocol which is established by Queensland of innovation, food innovation in agriculture. So they have designed this protocol for certain species. So we are just following what we have given by the companies. We are doing a complete buyback. So we don't have trials timeline to do, right? We have to give them the product in 12 months. So you should understand that we work with the protocol of complete buyback. But we are doing a trial for a crop improvement with TNAU in black guava. In that, we are doing all kinds of different initiation programs and surface sterilization programs. So that is very important for us. In blueberry, you asked the same question. In blueberry, axillary bud is proven, and that is been done by us, and which is again provided by companies to us. So we work with the timeline and commercial aspect. As also we are a startup, we have to fight with major big companies like KF Bioplants, Rise and Shine Biotech, and a lot of the big companies. So you should understand that we have to sustain. And as well as we are giving fellowship program to a lot of the fellow TNAU students. So we want to make sure even as a startup to help you guys to the